Okay, so we're diving deep into all this material about Adriana Rosales.
Yeah.
And her upcoming book, The Spiritual Executive, Mastering the Age of AI with Heart-Driven Leadership. 21 irrefutable principles. We've got interviews.
Right.
We've got her resume.
Yeah, a lot to unpack.
Even a peek at the outline for the book.
It's fascinating, really.
So what's our mission here?
Well,
I think it's to figure out, like, why is she the perfect person to be writing this?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. It's not just about what's in the book.
Right.
It's about her whole journey, how she got here.
Exactly. And you see that even in her childhood.
Oh, absolutely.
She talks about growing up in a Spanish-speaking household, working in the fields as a kid.
Yeah, and that really seems to have shaped her, you know?
It seems like that must have given her a really strong work ethic.
It's that foundation of resilience.
Yeah.
Discipline. Those qualities aren't always associated with spiritual leadership.
Right.
But I think she's bridging a really interesting gap there.
Yeah, for sure. And then boom, she's in the Air Force.
Right. What a transition.
Do you imagine going from that childhood to boot camp?
Well, she actually said boot camp felt easier than dealing with her dad's strictness.
Oh, wow.
Talk about setting a high bar for mental toughness.
No kidding. But it makes you think, right?
That's that.
How those early experiences shape the way we see challenges later on.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially when you're trying to lead in a field like AI. That's so complex.
Yeah, it's constantly changing.
And it's changing so fast.
Think about it. The discipline of military life.
Right.
The need for structure, clear principles. Those are crucial when you're navigating the unknown.
And isn't that what AI leadership is all about right now?
Exactly. We're all figuring it out as we go.
And speaking of navigating the unknown,
Yeah.
let's talk about her mentors.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other layer.
John Maxwell, Peter Diamandis,
Yes.
Ray Kurzweil.
Wow, what a lineup.
Talk about a powerhouse team.
Each one brings such a different perspective to the table.
I know, it's amazing.
And you can see how they've all influenced her.
Like, how so?
Well, Maxwell,
Yeah.
with his focus on those timeless leadership principles.
Right, the fundamentals.
Then you have Diamandis, always pushing boundaries, thinking exponentially.
And then Kurzweil, always looking ahead.
The futurist, yeah.
To where technology is taking us.
It's like they've given her this incredible toolkit, you know?
Yeah.
Not just to understand leadership, but to understand what leadership needs to become.
The future of leadership.
Exactly. And it's not just theory for her.
What do you mean?
I mean, she was working with Lockheed Martin and NASA at 19.
Seriously?
At Moffett Field, a Navy base.
Wow. I definitely wasn't doing anything like that at 19.
Me neither. But it just shows her early exposure to cutting-edge technology.
Right, that intersection of humanity and tech.
That theme runs through her whole career, you know, even when it wasn't specifically about AI. So it's like all these experiences, all these mentors, they were all building towards something. Right, and then there's the shift.
What do you mean?
She moves away from climbing that corporate ladder.
Okay.
Starts focusing on empowering other authors.
Oh, yeah, especially Latina women.
And that, I think, is where her voice becomes so important, especially now. Well, traditionally, voices like hers, Latino women, talking about leadership, spirituality, they haven't always been heard.
That's true.
But she's changing that. She's rewriting the narrative.
It's more than just her background, though. Right?
Of course.
It's what she's actually saying. It's that blend of heart-centered leadership with this understanding of where technology is taking us.
Exactly. It's not one or the other. It's both.
Right. And that's what makes her so relevant now.
Especially in the age of AI.
And you see that reflected in her previous book, Corporate Code.
Oh, how so?
There's this story about her boss, Zeth, who really embodied those values, you know, compassion, support.
In the workplace.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like it was a turning point for her.
Totally.
It really solidified her belief in building a heart-centered corporate culture.
Which is something we don't talk about enough.
Especially when it comes to AI and the future of work.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
But it wasn't all easy for her.
Oh, right. She talks about those challenges in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, working as a marketing director there.
Well, even those tough experiences, they shape us, right?
Me too.
They make us better leaders.
What do you mean?
Having to adapt to a different culture, different ways of working.
Yeah.
Those are all essential skills these days.
Especially with AI changing everything so fast.
Exactly.
It's like every step in her journey, every challenge.
Yeah.
It brought her closer to this moment to writing The Spiritual Executive.
Absolutely. It makes this book even more significant.
So I think we've got a good grasp of her background now.
We've got the context.
We see where those key influences are coming from. Now, let's dive into the spiritual executive itself.
Let's do it.
What's she trying to achieve with this book?
That's the big question, isn't it? Well, from that outline you shared,
Yeah.
some of those chapter titles are really interesting.
Like what? Give me an example.
Quantum leadership.
Okay.
The algorithmic heart.
Ooh, I like that one.
Decoding your soul print.
Whoa. She's really blending a lot of different ideas, huh?
Yeah, she's bringing together technology and this almost, I don't know, spiritual depth.
It's fascinating, right? But for our listener, we need to break this down a little.
Okay, sure.
What are these principles really about?
Right, get beyond the catchy titles.
Exactly. Like, how does she connect spirituality and AI leadership? Can you give me an example?
Good point. Let's take algorithmic empathy.
Okay.
It's not just about AI for efficiency, right?
Right.
It's about designing systems that consider human emotions,
Interesting.
well-being. That's where the heart comes in.
Especially with AI making more and more decisions.
Exactly, even in fields like yours.
And that ties back to her work at Lockheed and NASA, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, even at 19, she was dealing with those human-machine interactions.
No. True.
It wasn't AI back then, but the challenge is the same.
What do you mean?
How do you make sure technology serves humanity?
Right, not the other way around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like those early experiences
Yeah.
were preparing her for what she's writing about now.
And it's something so many leaders are struggling with today.
Totally, especially with all the concerns about AI.
Oh, absolutely. Like AI bias,
Mm-hmm.
job displacement.
You need that heart-centered approach
Yeah.
to deal with all of that.
Those ethical questions.
Yeah, for sure. But you know what?
What's that?
Some people hear spiritual leadership, and they think,
What do they think?
like meditation retreats,
Okay.
burning incense in the boardroom.
I get it, yeah.
It's not quite like that, is it?
No, not really. I think she's redefining what spiritual even means in this context.
How so?
It's not about religion. It's
Okay.
about purpose.
Hmm.
It's about leading with empathy, creating that kind of environment.
Where people feel valued.
Exactly. Connected like she experienced with Zeph, that boss from corporate code.
Oh, right. He was so supportive.
It seems like that's a big part of her message.
Yeah, building a heart-centered corporate culture.
It's not just about being nice, though.
Right. She connects it to real results.
What do you mean?
Employee engagement, innovation, even profits.
Interesting. So it's a different way of thinking about leadership, for sure.
It is, yeah.
And it's something that often gets lost.
In what way?
In all the talk about AI and the future of work.
Yeah, we get so focused on the technical side.
The algorithms, the efficiency.
Exactly. And she's bringing in the human side.
Reminding us that technology is just a tool.
It's how we use it that matters.
Yeah, it's the key takeaway.
So it's like she's saying we need to evolve as leaders.
In what sense?
To develop a whole new skill set.
Alongside those tech advancements. It's not either.
It's both.
You need the tech skills,
Yeah.
but you also need the emotional intelligence.
Right, the empathy.
The ability to connect with people on a deeper level.
And those are the things that will make you a really effective leader in this new world.
In the age of AI, exactly.
And here's another thing.
Yeah.
She didn't just arrive at this point, you know?
Oh, right. It wasn't a straight line.
There were challenges along the way.
Like what?
Those experiences in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, those were tough.
It wasn't always easy for her.
And that's important to remember, right?
I think so.
Even someone like her, who's accomplished so much, she faced setbacks, difficulties.
Those experiences shape us, though, don't they?
You really do. They teach us valuable lessons.
What did she learn from those challenges?
Well, in her case, she had to adapt.
Okay.
Understand different cultural perspectives, build that resilience she talks about.
And then there's that near-death experience she talks about.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Talk about a life-changing event.
It makes you reevaluate everything, doesn't it?
It seems like it really pushed her to examine her values.
Her purpose.
Exactly. And it ultimately led her to this work.
It's like all those pieces of her life.
The Air Force, the mentors, the corporate world.
The challenges.
Yeah, they all came together.
Like she was being prepared for this moment.
Even if she didn't realize it at the time.
Right. And now.
Now she's taking all those experiences.
Those lessons.
And sharing them with everyone.
In the spiritual executive.
It's like she's offering a new way of thinking about leadership.
One that's so needed right now.
So timely in this age of AI.
Absolutely. It's not just a book, it's a call to action.
A call to action for what?
To choose how we shape the future. And that starts with how we lead.
So how does she define success in this new world?
Well, it's not just about those traditional markers of achievement, is it?
The corner office, the big paycheck.
Exactly. It's about living a life that aligns with your values.
Makes a positive impact.
That's meaningful. Yeah.
She talks about her own aha moment, right?
Yeah. What was it?
It wasn't a promotion. It wasn't some fancy title.
It was something deeper.
It was realizing those external achievements didn't equal fulfillment.
That's a powerful realization.
It is.
And she talks about burnout.
Yeah.
Feeling like she was living someone else's dream.
That's when she started to reconnect with her own heart.
Her own purpose.
And that led her to this work, to empowering others.
Helping them find their own path.
And this is where her background is so important.
Oh, so...
She's not some tech person who suddenly got interested in spirituality.
Right. She's lived it.
She gets it. She understands those struggles.
The doubts, the challenges.
Exactly. That's what makes her so relatable.
So authentic.
In a world that can feel so impersonal.
Yeah, especially now.
That human touch, that emphasis on the heart.
It's refreshing, isn't it?
It is, but it's also a call to action.
What do you mean?
She's not just saying be nicer, you know.
Right, there's more to it.
She's giving us tools.
Like what?
Those 21 principles.
Oh, right. To actually put this into practice.
In our organizations.
Our communities.
Our lives.
It's about creating a more human future.
A more sustainable future.
That's what matters, because when we lead with heart.
When we prioritize those human values.
We create better businesses, but also a better world.
And she brings it all back to AI, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's not afraid of technology.
She sees it as a tool, an opportunity.
But she's also cautious.
In what way?
She's saying we need to be mindful about how we develop AI.
How we use it.
Make sure it serves humanity.
Not the other way around.
Exactly. That's where the soul print idea comes in.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that.
She's asking us to examine our own values.
Our talents, our passions.
And use those as a guide as we navigate this new world.
It's like she's saying, don't let the technology define you.
Define yourself.
And then use technology to amplify your purpose.
Your values, your humanity.
That's a powerful message.
It is, and it's coming from someone who really understands all of this.
So she's asking us to rethink leadership.
Rethink technology.
Our role in the future.
Exactly. She's saying, let's create the future we want.
Not just react to what's happening.
A future that's more just, more compassionate.
More fulfilling for everyone.
That's the goal.
Okay, we've covered her journey.
Her mentors, her message.
But how does she turn all of that into practical advice?
That's the next step.
What are some of those 21 principles?
Well, we've got that outline, and there are a few that stand out to me.
Oh, tell me more.
Especially given your own work and goals.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
There's one called Leading from the Heart in a Data-Driven World.
Interesting. What's that about?
It's about finding that balance, you know? Between data-driven decisions and that human touch.
Okay, yeah, that's so relevant for everyone listening, right?
It is.
Like we have so much data these days.
I know, it's overwhelming.
It's easy to just get lost in the numbers.
And forget about the people.
Exactly.
That's what she's warning us about, right?
I think so.
She's not saying to ignore the data.
Right.
She's actually advocating for a more holistic approach.
What do you mean by that?
Think about the ethical implications of our decisions.
Oh.
The emotional impact, the long-term consequences.
So it's not just about what the data says.
It's about what it doesn't say.
Those nuances, those human factors.
Exactly, the things you can't always quantify.
It's about asking those deeper questions, isn't it?
Like what?
How will this affect our employees?
Our customers, our community.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
It's about bringing empathy and compassion into the decision-making process.
And that's where those mentors, like John Maxwell.
Oh, yeah.
He talks about character, integrity, and leadership.
Right. It's not enough to just be smart.
Or efficient.
You have to be a good person.
Do the right thing, especially when it's hard.
That's the real test, isn't it?
It is. And in this world, you know, driven by algorithms,
AI,
those human qualities become even more important.
We need leaders who aren't just tech-savvy,
right,
but also heart-centered.
Leaders who can connect with people, inspire them, build trust.
It's not just about making ethical AI.
It's about developing our own ethical compass.
That's a good way to put it.
AI reflects us, you know?
Our values? Our biases?
If we want a better future, we have to start with ourselves.
And she talks about mindfulness, meditation.
Yeah, those inner practices.
As tools to develop that awareness.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is, because a lot of people see spirituality as separate from work.
It's like this whole other thing.
But she's saying those practices can actually make you a better leader.
A better person, even.
It's about being more present, more self-aware.
More in tune with others.
And those are all crucial for leading in this age of AI.
Think about it. If you're not grounded, if you're not clear on your values,
it's easy to get swept away by all the change.
The hype, the fear, all of it.
It's about finding that balance, that peace amidst the chaos.
Exactly. And then using that to lead others.
Okay, so we see what these principles are about, but how do you actually put them into practice?
Right. It's one thing to talk about it.
It's another thing to actually do it.
And that's where the spiritual executive really delivers.
How so?
She takes those 21 principles and makes them actionable.
You mean example?
She gives you exercises, prompts, real-world examples.
To integrate these principles into your life.
Your work, your relationships, everything.
So it's like a roadmap, a guidebook.
For this new world.
For leading with heart in the age of AI.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just about traditional leadership, you know?
What do you mean?
It's about leading yourself.
Okay.
Leading your family, your community.
It's about living a life that's meaningful.
Aligned with your values.
With a positive impact.
It's about being the change. Right?
Yes. And I think that's what makes her so compelling.
Why do you say that?
She's not just talking about the problems.
She's offering solutions.
Showing us a way forward.
And she does it in a way that's both practical
and inspiring.
Grounded and inspiring, yeah.
It speaks to your head and your heart.
And her message is resonating, you know.
With who?
Especially those who haven't always been heard.
Like Latina women in leadership.
Exactly. She's rewriting the narrative.
She's a trailblazer.
She is. And she's not just doing it for herself.
She's creating a path for others to follow.
That's what's so inspiring about her.
It's not just talk, it's action.
She's living proof that you can be successful.
Without sacrificing your values.
That you can lead with heart and still make a difference.
So for someone listening, right? Someone who's trying to figure out leadership in this crazy age of AI.
What does all this mean for them?
What's the takeaway?
I think Adriana Rosales offers hope.
Okay.
A message that says, the world is changing, yes.
Technology is disrupting everything.
But we don't have to be victims of that change.
We have a choice.
You can use these challenges to grow.
To create a better future.
A future that's more aligned with our values.
More human.
That's the key.
And she's giving us the tools to do it.
In her book, her speaking, her whole life, really.
It's about showing us what's possible.
Exactly.
And that's what makes her so important right now.
She reminds us that even in the age of AI,
it's the human heart that matters.
That's the message we all need to hear.
That's a great place to end it. I think our deep dive into Adriana Rosales and the spiritual executive has given us a lot to think about. Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure. It was a great conversation.